All right. Thank you for joining us today here for our webinar. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mike Romano from Transfer Express, and today we will be talking about how to apply the 4 Ps of marketing to your t-shirt business. So excited that you could all join us here today. I think you'll get a lot out of this. So before we begin, I just wanted to say that we do have a helper behind the scenes who will be answering any questions you may have. If you want to type them into the chat box, you can do that, and we'll get started. So what we're going to be talking about today are what are the 4 Ps of marketing and why does it matter for your t-shirt business? We'll cover how to differentiate your t-shirts and what determines if a customer wants to buy yours over your competitors. How to get your t-shirts in front of your buyers at the right place and at the right time, and how to create demand for your brand using promotional elements. And then we'll finish up by covering some pricing tactics that affect your quantity of you sell for your t-shirts and how it affects your profits. So let's get started. So what are the 4 Ps of marketing? It's basically known as the marketing mix. So it consists of price, product, placement, and promotion. These are the controllable parts of your marketing strategy. It's basically the fundamental building blocks, if you will, of your marketing plan. These things, like I said, are controllable. They are things that you set in place and you can tweak and test as you go. I just want to say that they are separate, but they work together almost like puzzle pieces. So as they are intertwined and they fit together, once they are all in place, then you can kind of see the big picture overall. And again, this takes planning. There is no one size fits all marketing strategy. Every t-shirt business is different. So it's going to take some planning and testing and research, but I just wanted to give you some things today to think about to get you pointed in the right direction and things that you might have not even ever thought about before. And so hopefully we'll do that today. And the webinar will be available. The slides will be available tomorrow along with the video presentation. So basically, we'll start with product here and go around clockwise. I think it's a good order to think about these things in. So we'll start with product. And this is basically, what are you selling? It's your goods or services. And you're selling t-shirts. And so in this case, it could be either both goods and services or just one or the other. So if you're selling a stock line of t-shirts, you're probably just selling goods. If you're selling custom apparel, then you could be selling goods and services because you're selling the goods of the t-shirt, but also you're selling your custom printing service. So your shirts are basically made up of features, benefits, quality, the design, if you have a variety, and don't forget branding and packaging also. These are definitely part of your product and you don't want to overlook those. I just want to take a moment here to explain the difference between benefits and features. This gets confused a lot. So basically, features may include things like the fabric type. So for example, you have a t-shirt that features a tri-blend material. The benefits then of this tri-blend shirt is that it's soft, lightweight, comfortable, maybe fashionable. So the benefits are like what's in it for me, for the customer. You could also look at the features as the bells and whistles, and then the benefits as what problems did those bells and whistles solve for me as the customer. So lots of people are selling t-shirts. What's different about yours and what differentiates your t-shirts? What sets them apart? Why would someone want to buy your t-shirts over the competitions? So some examples may be that you're the only custom apparel decorator in your area. And if that's true, then you're probably pretty lucky because there's most likely multiple. Maybe you sell to a specific niche, such as soccer apparel. Maybe you were involved in a long time in your kids' youth league, you were coaching, you made a lot of contacts, so you want to open up your own soccer apparel business and really sell to that market. Maybe you have your own t-shirt line with your own designs, and you know, uh, so why are your customers buying from you? What are you good at? What differentiates your shirts from the custom decorator down the street? A big mistake I think businesses make is trying to be all things to all people. So you have to have a target market. So who are you trying to sell to? For example, you might have a fashion forward customer who's looking for more of an aesthetic benefit, and they might find appeal in a lighter weight burnout t-shirt, maybe even a V-neck. On the other hand, you might have a customer looking for shirts for a little league team, and they're not going to really want a lightweight burnout t-shirt. They're going to want something more durable and practical that will be heavier weight and will last wear through some wear and tear. So knowing your target market will definitely help determine what shirts you're going to offer and how you're going to differentiate. Um, so this might be through your variety. Is it, you have types of apparel, tees, hoodies, caps, jackets, blankets. Could also be determined by the style of shirts you sell. Maybe it's a crew neck, a V-neck, a scoop neck. Your product line may also feature several material types to choose from, whether that is that tri-blend or cotton shirts or polyester, that performance wear, spandex. And maybe the design of your product is possibly what sells your shirts. Again, if you sell a stock line of t-shirts, it's going to be, that design that's going to be selling your shirts. So what is the style of the artwork do you offer? What's the actual design of the shirt itself? Meaning, are the shirts slimmer fit? Are they like a junior kind of trendy shirt? Or are they kind of, a wider, kind of like just a generic t-shirt? So again, knowing your target market is key in what they want. What do they expect from you? And quality is part of that expectation. So based on your target market, say, for example, you specialize in basketball apparel, and an adult league might come to you for a higher end polyester performance wear. So you want your product and your quality to reflect your brand. So if you're known for basketball specialty wear, your product should reflect that. So that brings us to our next point of branding. So your branding is definitely part of your product itself, especially if you're selling a line of t-shirts. They're going to definitely follow you for your brand. When customers are choosing a shirt to buy, or even a company to buy from, they want to buy shirts that fit their lifestyle and the image that they are going for. And a lot of times this is done through brands, and people connect with brands. If you think about it, when you go to the mall and you're buying a shirt, you might spend $40 for a t-shirt, and what does it have on it? It might have the brand of the company, but people are willing to do that because they want to fit in with that group of people. So the same goes for packaging. Don't underestimate the packaging. It's a first impression of the shirts you're selling, and it's what the customer sees first. And it can even attract more customers to buy your shirts. It is a part of your product. So whether you have a storefront or not, packaging can leave a memorable mark on your customer's mind. So if you're selling online or in a store, we'll get to that a little bit later. But think about your niche or the market that you're selling to, and maybe you can come up with a creative idea for your packaging. It doesn't have to be complex or expensive, as some of these pictures show. I mean, it's some pretty basic twine and brown paper, but again, you want it to reflect on your brand and the image that you're trying to go for your business. So what differentiates your products and brand from your competitors may be where you're selling, which brings us to our next P, placement. Placement is the basically your distribution. So it's literally, where are you going to sell your t-shirts, or how are your customers going to buy them? Is it going to be through stores? Is it your own store? Is it going to be online, your own website, through other people's websites, through distributors, uh, through affiliate marketers, events? We'll get to all these options in a moment, but really I just want to point out here, the goal of your placement strategy, though, is to get your product in front of the right buyers at the right place, at the right time, at the right price, and in the right quantity. So in order to formulate a system on how you will sell your shirts, we're going to go back again to your target market, because like I said, these all intertwine together and you have to keep these things in mind. So going back to your product and target market, where do your customers expect to find your shirts or your decorating service? Where are they already shopping? So like I mentioned, these decisions about each of the 4 Ps, they're determined by your strategy as a whole. They work together. So if you're selling a stock line of t-shirts with no customization, are you printing and selling them yourself, or are you printing as a middleman, so to speak, and selling through other stores? So your distribution channels will be determined by your product and your target market, who, like, your coverage area. Are you selling locally, like a city pride, or is it a state pride? So it might be regionally, or nationally. That could be, like a shirt for exercise apparel or motivational phrases. Like that would be accepted by anyone, anywhere. If you're selling online, you don't have to limit yourself to a specific region where you are. So again, it's really depends on what you're selling and who you're selling to. And the internet definitely makes national and even international sales more feasible. But keep in mind, this opens the same opportunities for competitors. So you're going to be up against a lot more competitors at this time. So whether you're going to sell your shirts online or not, you should probably at least have a site for informational purposes. And social media is another avenue that I would recommend participating in. Social media is free, and that's where the people are at. So you can target people very specifically on there. And if you want to sell on your site, it's called e-commerce. And this is easily done through platforms like Shopify or WordPress or Etsy. And these types of sites, you don't have to know anything about coding or HTML. It's pretty straightforward. What you see is what you get, kind of a editor. So, and they're pretty quick to learn. Other online options are to sell through sites like Amazon or eBay. Or another option, like I mentioned before, are online marketing affiliate programs. People will actually sell your shirts on their own sites or blogs for you, probably through a referral link to your own site. And in return, all they want is maybe a small percentage of the sale. Once they sell so many, then they'll just get a portion of it. Some t-shirt businesses are only online, or maybe they work out of their home by word of mouth locally. Others open up a brick and mortar store. If you want to open a physical location, does a storefront make sense, or maybe a mall kiosk will suffice? Or don't rule out the possibility of renting space from a local complementary business that shares the same target market, but maybe selling different products. So yours would complement theirs, and they'd be getting, some rent paid from you. So again, depending on your product, if you are selling shirts, stock shirts, you could sell to local boutiques and have them stock your shirts in their shop. So obviously, like the online affiliates, these boutiques are going to want some sort of profit, but each shop is going to be different. And so you can work with the shop, and maybe you just sell the shirts to them at a discount bulk price, and they just mark up the shirts and sell them themselves for their own profit. Or maybe you want to sell your shirts at events, whether it's sports tournaments or flea markets, county fairs, or other events that align with your brand. Uh, or maybe like a food truck, you invest in a truck and sell on the streets, and where your target market might hang out if you live in that kind of an area. The truck would basically act like a moving showroom, and you could print out of it if you're able to, and your truck could be a moving billboard with your brand painted on the outside, which we'll start to talk about promotion here in a minute. But basically, um, no matter how you plan to distribute your t-shirts, there's going to be costs involved. So you want to take this into consideration, whether that's rent or website hosting fees, selling fees. Like if you're going to sell through Etsy or Amazon, they'll take a percentage out. Or if you're going to accept credit cards through such things like PayPal, then they'll take a percentage. So things like that is all worked into your pricing and your consideration for what you're doing. Say you're going to have a truck, you might need a specific license to do that in your area. And if you're going to be selling shirts through distributors, through like other stores or other sites, you're going to need an inventory. So how much do you want to print ahead of time? That's going to, take up some costs too. And of course, shipping or transportation costs. If you're selling online to consumers, you're going to have to ship to them. Or if you're selling to other stores, you're going to have to ship to them. Uh, or if you're going to drop them off, if it's local, what have you. All right, what's next here is we're going to start talking about promotion. I started talking about, if your truck is your moving billboard. Well, there's certain objectives you might want to accomplish through promotion. So, what is promotion? Basically, you have your product. And so now we've thought about where and how we might sell our shirts. So now are your customers just going to come flocking to your store or your website? That would be great, but probably not. So this is where promotion comes in. It's basically the communication and the message that you want to tell your customers or potential customers about your product or brand. It basically lets them know that you're in business and you have the shirts for them that they want to buy. And that's what I would call, it creates demand for your brand. And so there's a variety of objectives you might want to achieve through your promotion strategy. And you've probably seen all these at some point or another in ads at one time or another. So these objectives might be like creating awareness, or if you want to stimulate sales, there's reminder ads, or maybe you want to gather prospects and leads. Gaining loyalty is another promotion objective, or even if it's just your competition is promoting a lot, so you just need to stay up there with them and remind customers that you are there also. So there's basically 4 categories of promotion that all of your promotional activities will fall in. So these categories are personal selling, advertising, PR or public relations, or sales promotions. So again, looking at your product, your target market, and even now your budget will help you determine which of these methods are best for your t-shirt business. So these aren't all, again, a one-size-fits-all. Every business is different. So you're going to want to, as you work through these, determine what is best for you. And at times you might use multiple. Most likely you're going to be using a combination of these. So the first way is personal selling. And it is exactly what it sounds like. It's going to be a salesman if you're working by yourself, or maybe if you have a sales team. So a good example of this would be an insurance salesman or a car salesman, like that, where you have a large ticket item that it's worth having someone work on with someone one-on-one, or maybe it takes a lot of human interaction to sell, like insurance, and people might have a lot of questions that a salesman could answer. But in regards to a t-shirt business, you're probably going to be doing some personal selling if you're printing a lot of custom apparel for groups. So you might need to reach out to groups or meet with people to work out what they want their shirts to say or the artwork they want, what ink colors, all of those different things. So, salesman, it's going to take a lot of human interaction to get these orders done. And in this case, we actually have a tool that would help you called EasyView. It's our online designer. You can actually print out ideas with their designs to show them of how it will look on apparel here down in this bottom 3 images. So you can actually email these designs to them, or if you want to meet with them in person, you can print them out and give them ideas they even before you even meet with them. Or if you're selling a line of t-shirts and are trying to get in stores for them to sell, you might have a salesman reaching out to stores to sell in bulk to also. On the other hand, if you're selling your own line of t-shirts from your own store or website, a sales team's probably not in your best interest because you're not going to be reaching out with phone calls or, one-on-one to consumers who want to buy your T-Rex t-shirt for $15. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Same concept when you walk into a grocery store, you're not going to have a salesman trying to pitch you a tube of toothpaste. It just doesn't work in that scenario. So, depending on what you're doing and who you're selling to, maybe personal selling would work. Another form of promotion is advertising. And the one that probably comes to mind most or is most common you might think about is paid advertising. And these are like traditional channels such as TV ads, radio ads, print ads, or billboards. And this might be an option for you if it makes sense for your target market, or also if you have the budget to do so. This is usually pretty expensive. But you might get a better bang for your buck using like Facebook ads, and you can have higher control over who sees your ads on Facebook, and you can set a specific budget and really reach out specifically to certain groups. And maybe work with your local radio station. You might be able to work out a trade with them. They're always doing giveaways, so offer some of your shirts as giveaways, maybe in trade for some airtime or even just as being recognized as the sponsor of the giveaway. And don't overlook other businesses to trade with also. You might share, a target market. So going back to that basketball apparel example, reach out to your local YMCA or gym where everyone plays basketball and pair up with them. Maybe you can piggyback on some of their marketing, but obviously you have to offer something of value to them in return, so it's a win-win. Another form of promotion is just simple word of mouth. I wouldn't underestimate the power of word of mouth, because as I've seen, more than 65% of people rely on their friends and family for buying advice, and can definitely be seen with online reviews, like how many people look at reviews before they buy something. Maybe even some buzz marketing will work. This is generally not too expensive. It just generally relies on a hype or trend. Just place some shirts on some friends or family members and put them in an area where your target market hangs out. And so again, if you take the basketball example, put some shirts on them and send them to the local gym where everyone's playing basketball. My favorite idea of buzz marketing is a form of buzz marketing called guerrilla marketing. If you search online for images of guerrilla marketing or sites that feature like these kind of marketing campaigns, you will see just some really cool marketing ideas. A lot of these are like low budget, but really out of the box creative thinking. I love looking at these. They're so cool. And it might generate ideas for you for your own business. So again, try to match something of this with your target market and your brand that aligns with that. And finally, sponsorships are an option. Again, if there's events in your area or within traveling distance that align with your brand, seek out these opportunities. They're all online. Even if you're sponsoring an event, try to offer promotional products and to hand out to attendees. And you can print these promotional products yourself, which will, really lower your costs. So another form of promotion is public relations or PR. And it's basically offering information to media outlets. So this is free promotion, but they basically will choose what they want to pick up or not. So the media, this is their business. They're always looking for content to publish. So you can basically you give them content through press releases typically. And so over time, you can build relationships with contacts at media outlets or maybe even blog authors online that really have a big following of your target market. And so, what what media is your target market looking at? Like what blogs or where what are they reading? So the content for public relations is more news related and less salesy. So you want to offer information that's valuable to the audience. That's when media will pick up your press releases. So for example, maybe you have a shirt that you donate a portion of the sales to a charity, or you have some how-to articles or a feel-good story about a customer you helped. Think about the news you like to see and read, and then try to mimic that kind of information that you supply to them. And the last promotion category is sales promotions. And this is not to be confused with the overall marketing mix P of promotion. This is like another section within the promotion, and the purpose of these are to add incentive to try to increase demand and sales. So times you might want to try sales promotions would be if you have like a seasonal line of shirts or a slow period during the year, or maybe if a customer buys X amount of shirts, they get a free tote bag. So, I mean, there's things like coupons. You have buy one, get one free. I obviously wouldn't probably suggest giving out a free t-shirt for everyone you buy, but you could use that concept, like I said. So if they buy 10 shirts, maybe they get a tote bag or something. Bundled products, you've probably seen this, and like a lot of times video games, they will sell you the video game system bundled with 3 games, and you're saving money at a discount. Or samples, or maybe you might have seen this too. If you buy like a bottle of shampoo, it's bundled with a free sample of hand lotion. So maybe if a baseball team orders all their T-shirts from you, you throw in a duffel bag, and then they see it, they like it, and then they order the rest of the duffel bags for everybody with it. Promotional products and contests and giveaways, rebates, point of purchase displays. These really will get the impulse buyer, or if it's seasonal that you want to display. Again, try to align your promotional activities with your product and your target market and your objectives. So if you're trying to gain prospects and leads, maybe contests and giveaways are a good way to do that, whether it's at an event or online or on Facebook. That way you can gain a bunch of people's emails or names, addresses, phone numbers, whatever you want to collect from them by entering in a contest. I would just recommend here, though, that you be careful on how you use sales promotions. I wouldn't overuse them, because over time, it could result in a negative fashion. People may only buy when they have a coupon. I know there's a certain store that, for me personally, I only go to when I have a 20% off coupon, because I know they come in the mail regularly. So, when that happens, you're actually really not helping too much. So if you're unsure, test it. Compare your results with sales from other years, or even, try to add in a control group, maybe a group you promote to and with a coupon, and then a group that you don't, to see how the sales go. And last but not least, price. we have the last P of price. I saved this for last because once you figure out the pieces of the other three Ps, this will definitely kind of fall into place a little bit more, and it will help you figure out your shirt prices. It's definitely not a easy thing to figure out. It's actually quite difficult. And but price is important because your selling price is directly related to your profits, which at the end of the day will either keep you in business or not. So it's definitely a fine line of balancing your sales. If you price too high, where you're making a healthy margin, but you might lose sales because people bid out custom apparel projects. So you might not, get as many sales. But on the other end, if you price too low to get the job, then your margins could be too low and you really didn't make any money. So, how long are you going to be able to stay in business for doing that? So, how do you get a selling price? Some people kind of start backwards and they say, I have a shirt and I want to sell it for X amount of dollars, maybe say $10. And then they print their shirts and say, well, how can I make any money printing this? I can't sell this. How am I supposed to make money? It costs me more, it costs me close to $10 to print. I wouldn't suggest working this way. A common way to price your shirts is on cost. So you might have seen this equation from us before. It's a nice equation for a starting point. It's definitely not a one size fits all equation, but really there are no equations like that for pricing because, like I said, every business is different for every market and niche. And there's a lot of factors that affect pricing, such as supply and demand, maybe even the time of year, your competition, like we said, customer expectations, and your own costs. So a basic starting point cost equation might be your cost of your shirt plus the cost of the transfer and multiply that by 2 gets your selling price. Now, as we talked about, there's also another possibility of maybe brand popularity. So such t-shirts in the mall, if you walk in and people are buying t-shirts for $40, well, that is way above their cost. So, but if you have a popular brand, again, going back to your product, and if you differentiate your products based on a brand and get a brand loyal following, you can mark up your shirts really as high as people are willing to pay for, and you can keep testing that. So it's really just the desired amount of margin you want to make. Another model would be bulk pricing. So the more a customer buys, the cheaper pricing gets per unit. And so this might be, based for custom shirts, or if you're going to sell stock shirts to distributors for them to sell for you, it might be the same thing. And then lastly, a pricing model might be competitive pricing. So based on your research of your competitors' pricing and based on your product and your niche, what your quality is and all that sort of thing, you can kind of base your price based on what others are selling around you. So a lot of things, especially your pricing, will be based on your other marketing mix variables. So your marketing mix variables will help you determine your prices. Your prices are going to come more natural once you determine how your t-shirts are differentiated from others in your market, or how you are promoting them, or where you're selling your shirts. These all will make up your marketing mix, and they need to support each other. And your pricing is going to support the decisions of your other Ps. So, if you are selling, based on price, and that's what you're competing on, and you're selling like promo t-shirts, inexpensive, again, you're not gonna, spend a lot of money on ads, or, you're gonna be selling based on, or promotional things based around selling price. So Um, so keep in mind that price has a lot to do with consumer behavior. Your price has a perceived value for your product or brand. A higher price is perceived with a better product versus a bargain price. The common saying is you get what you pay for. So these low and high prices will be determined by how you position your t-shirts. Are you competing on price or not? So if you compete on price, you'll have to be competitively priced and you'll base your promotions, like I said, around your selling price. On the other hand, if you choose to have higher prices, you're not going to be competing by price. You're going to be setting your product apart by other features of the shirts, not by price. So you're choosing to base your promotions around benefits of your shirts. For example, like I bought a tile saw a couple days like last week, and I didn't want to get the basic model, which was, you can find them around $80 to $100 because I wanted to get a better product. So I was willing to go up a next level of pricing to about $160. And so I perceived it as I was getting a better product. Well, I got it shipped to me, and then I happened to be eating lunch with a friend that day, and I showed them online the saw I got, and like 3 days later after I bought it, the price had dropped to $100. So I called them and got the price promotion credited back to me, which I felt good about. But then again, that perception of value based on what you pay, now I felt like, well, did I actually get the quality product that I intended to get by spending $160? Because now I paid $100. Is it going to be the same as those $100 tile saws? So again, the perception of your product is also by price. And when it comes to pricing, also one thing I want to point out here is, so obviously it's easier said than done, but one way to get some more wiggle room with pricing is to reduce your costs. And a way to reduce your costs is by using your transfer sheets wisely. With Transfer Express, you can fill your transfer sheet with as much fits on it, all for the same price. So the more images you fit, the cheaper each image price will be. And so in regards to pricing, I saved an interesting piece for last that I just find fascinating, and that is psychological pricing. And this ties in with our human behavior and how our brain thinks. And so basically, there's different tactics that you can use on trying to get more sales based on your pricing. We've all seen some of these, and there's studies that support different methods of this. So you can just research any of these, and if you want to find out more information, like I said, I find it kind of fascinating. So one way is to end your prices in 9. So and the way that this works is that because we read left to right, your brain sees the first digit and perceives at that dollar amount. So example here, instead of doing $30, we went back to $29.99. So the first digit your brain sees is a 2 instead of a 3. So you kind of perceive it as, oh, I'm in the $20 range instead of $30. The opposite of that, actually, there's studies that support this, but for different reasons when it's compared to other prices, is actually to end in 0. So for example, here, maybe $30. But again, this is because of a different reason. The buyer here is driven by emotion or a feeling and can make a quicker decision. Like this might be more for higher end products. So if you're selling something for $100, a buyer can quickly feel what $100 is rather than say $94.78 or something similar. So that is based on more of like if you might be selling higher end apparel. Another concept here is kind of what we mentioned before is buy one, get one free. But again, use this as a concept. So if they buy 10 shirts, maybe they get a free cinch sack. And the concept here psychologically is that when we perceive as getting more, we will go for it. The brain, I guess people, we're kind of greedy. So if we can get more, we will. And then I think the most important psychological pricing method here is the comparative pricing method. This is it's you've probably seen it, and it's the model of good, better, best. And here it's price anchoring is what's going on. So how do you sell a $20 shirt? If you want to sell a $20 shirt, put it next to maybe a $40 shirt. And if you wanted to sell a $20 shirt, that's the one you're probably going to sell. Well, how do you sell if you want to sell at $35, or I'm sorry, if you want to sell like the $40 shirt, how do you sell the $40 shirt? Well, maybe you make one that's $35, but it's very plain and simple, and your $40 shirt is maybe a 2, 3 color. And so people see the difference between option 1 and 2. The lower one, you're getting a lot less, but for just a little bit more, I can get a lot more out of the next shirt up. So that's, you're basing your price based on the options around you. And again, it goes back to that perceived value of what they're getting. And the last psychological pricing method that is seen frequently is just visually how it's displayed. So simplicity of how you write out your prices, the simpler that it is, people find it to be less, or they will buy it more in studies. So even if you're having like a sale price, show the sale price next to the original price, but maybe make it a different size and even a different color, because then they can visually see the change in price. I've even seen a study where the original price was bigger than the sale price because the perception is that the original price was higher and bigger, and then the sale price was smaller physically and it was shorter, and so they perceived that they were getting even a better discount then. But here, along with all pricing and all of these strategies, you definitely want to test, test, test. You don't want to just set any of these in motion and think that this is your strategy. You want to test it and research and tweak it and find out what works. Because, like I said, every target market is going to respond differently in every niche. Well, I hope you enjoyed all of this information. I hope you got a lot of things to take out of it and take back and think about, maybe point you in a direction that you might not have thought about or things to think about. So again, our slides and video will be available tomorrow on our website. So if you want to go over any of this, you can go over it again. It was a lot of information taken at once. But I want to thank you for attending. And don't forget our next Transfer Express webinar, What's New for 2017, is going to be Thursday, January 12th, and it will be available on our website to register tomorrow also. So sign up to see what will be taking place new for Transfer Express products in the year, what we hold for you in 2017. So thank you very much for attending, and have a great rest of your afternoon.